Okay, guys, welcome to our Sunday night Zoom call. I know some people are listening to the recording and some people are fresh to our group. Some people are doing a short-term group and have had the opportunity to join us tonight, which I'm really excited about. Before I dive into the topic though, our coach Beth is going to share a little bit about a tool that has helped her just be successful on her journey. So Beth, take it away.
All right, it's the first time I've actually been talking instead of been on mute, so I had to figure out how to do that for a second. Look, I hope everyone's having a really good night. And so I've been drinking Shakeology and for quite some time, but and when I started with 21 Day Fix, just at the level that I needed to be just to get all the food in every day, there were lots of greens, and it was like 6 cups of greens in a whole day, and I just was like, this is too much food. I can't eat this much food. So I always try to figure out, like, throw some spinach into my Shakeology and just blend it up. And then a couple of years ago, they came out with Shakeology Boost. And so I was like, Power Greens, genius. It's a perfect option because it's just like can you see it? Here we go. Here's a little bucket, but it comes with a little scoop, and then it's like equal to 1 serving of greens. So I could put that in my Shakeology instead of like an entire cup of spinach and greens in there. And I actually do that too with my sons. What's the kid one? Daily Sunshine. And I do it with theirs too, because it's like, heck yeah, I'm gonna put some more greens in there and get some more vegetables and things in there. So it's been a really great tool for me. And I don't really put in anything else aside from Shakeology. I know some people kind of like take it as a shot or something. I'm not that courageous yet, but anyway, that's my story with Power Greens and the Shakeology Boost.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. There's a couple boost options, but I feel like that one is pretty popular. Okay, before we start as well, I kind of want to hear people's wins from the week. I know this is something that my challengers need to be reminded of often, is to focus on the positive and count your wins. So if there's something that went really well this week for you, let us know in the chat, and I will read them out. I want to call out my challenger who might be coming later, but she has been crazy busy. She's in school right now. She's a mom of 4, and she was able to get down 2 pounds this week, and she got a really good grade on one of her quizzes, which that's awesome. So I just want to shout that out since she might miss the shout outs. Allison said Shakeology and workout 7 days this week. Woo! That's awesome. I think I got like 2 workouts in, maybe. Pregnancy problems. Any more wins, y'all? If you're a coach, you can shout out some of your peeps. Sarah started Transform 20. Felt so strong. Girl, that's like your jam. Can we flush the donuts down the toilet? Oh, that's awesome, Sarah. You could do more moves this time. That's cool. Melissa packed lunch every day last week. Beth lost 3.7 pounds this week. That's amazing in 1 week. Dang. That's incredible. It's those greens, the boost. Okay, well, you guys keep them coming and everyone else can read them, but I'll get started since we're kind of a little late here since of my technical difficulties in the beginning. So I wanted to talk to you guys about your purpose. We often call this our why, because here we are halfway through November. really close to the end of the year. And also, if you're just joining us, I know that a lot of people are taking, sorry, I'm taking my socks off so I don't get hot. A lot of people are taking advantage right now of getting started because we have some really great discounts and products. Yeah, exactly. My temperature, body temperature is like whoever knows. But people are taking advantage of sales and holiday flavored Shakeology and all kinds of awesome stuff, and just trying to finish the year. So I think it can be really easy to just get really, really excited about changing up what you've been doing before or just starting on your journey. But something that happens a lot of times is we run into challenges and we kind of lose our mojo, and we need to remember why we started to begin with. And so that is why we want to find our purpose and why it needs to really, really matter to us. Because if it doesn't, it can either hurt us or it just does not propel us further when we get tired or sick of it. So I'm going to share with you my why in depth and kind of a little backstory of how I got to where this why is, and just give you that example of how deep it goes, and then give you some tips on how to write your own why. So I've been a coach now for April will be 3 years. I've been married for almost 5 years, and I have 3 kids, a 3.5-year-old, almost 2-year-old, and then one halfway done cooking in the oven. And so family life is really big to me right now. Young family life, still young, newly married, I consider, until you're like 10 years married, right? So that is a really big priority of mine. So one of my reasons for being active on my health journey, being attentive on my health journey, making sure I eat right, making sure I exercise, also making sure that I surround myself with positive, encouraging people who will actually challenge me and love me, not just let me get away with my excuses, but will help me figure out a solution to my challenges, and also figure out how to take care of my mental health with personal development and, whatever I need, be it prayer or just quiet time. So yes, exercise and eating right, because Beachbody Tools have offered me a solution, and that is a part of my why. But my why, my purpose is to live a healthy life, and so that really includes all of these things I just said. So my why is really to be present to my current reality. That means to be able to be attentive to my kids, to my husband, and really to anybody who I come in contact with in my life. I don't want to, when we're with our families, we're really comfortable with them and we let them see all our colors. So it's really easy for me to take my frustrations, my exhaustion out on the ones I love most, who are my kids and my husband. And that is not the person I want to be. So part of my purpose of taking care of myself is so that I can be attentive and present to them without being grouchy, without feeling sick and taking how I feel out on them, and without being sluggish. And I know from experience that if I don't take care of myself, if I don't eat well, if I don't take time to check my mental health, if I don't exercise, then that doesn't happen. I'm not the person that I want to be. And even when I get those things done, it's still a work in progress. So just a word about finding your why and defining it is it's who you want to become and what you want out of this, not necessarily like do this so that, because I have struggled actually probably until very recently to define my why and stick to my purpose, because I thought it had to be like, if I eat this and if I exercise, I will be this. But it's a journey. So like, it's almost like writing down your goals of like who you want to be and keeping in mind who you don't want to be. So being present to my current reality helped bring peace into my life. I also want to be confident in who I am, so that my mind and my heart is free to give to my family and give to anybody I come into contact with. So before I even knew what Beachbody was, basically my whole life, I really struggled with self-confidence. Probably, if I put a date to it, since I was 7, is when I started dieting, is when I started thinking about my weight on the scale. And throughout my life, I've gone through being obese, I've gone through eating disorder, and since then, healing is a journey. It takes time. And when I think about the burden of that insecurity of my relationship with my food, my relationship with my body, and who I am and who I was as a person, is very self-centered. And I'm not saying that in a way to like hurt anybody, but because I realized that when I was so focused on not feeling good enough and feeling like not eating food or exercise would fix me, I was so I was looking for something from people. I was looking for something that I wasn't even able to receive. And in that way, it really cut me apart from a lot of relationships that could have been a lot more fruitful, or a lot better at that time. It broke friendships. It didn't help me develop good relationships with my siblings, because all I could think about was myself. So now, having known those struggles I've been through and the healing that has happened since that struggle, it's really important for me to remember that eating well and taking care of my body and taking care of my mind, and my soul, is so that I can give of myself to others, because I truly believe that in the end, I'm created for God, and in the end, I'm created for heaven. And He calls me to be a gift to others, and He wants to use me to be His vessel of love for others. But that opportunity is taken away when I don't know how to give and receive, because I'm so concerned that I'm not good enough. And again, like, it's a journey. Like, I struggle with that all the time still, just in a more healed way, I guess is the best way to say it. So that's a huge part of my why, an absolutely huge part of my why, is to just grapple with that and to let my habits of healthy eating and exercise be a blessing to my self-confidence and not something that's about fixing me. And another reason that I try to eat well and exercise and do all the things is to release some negative energy, to be honest, and to care for my hormonal and mental health, so that I can, again, be more peaceful and just a more balanced person. So 2 things that I struggle with that you might as well is PCOS and ADD or ADHD. I don't remember what my diagnosis was, but both of those things cause anxiety. And my PCOS is very mild. Don't know about my ADD, probably not, but they both cause anxiety. And when I get worked up, it's really hard for me to burn off that energy. Like, if you have a child with ADD, a lot of times they have a hard time with their energy and they act out, right? So same here, I'm just an adult who acts out. So exercising and avoiding sugar really helped me with that, because I know that I'll be a lot more balanced and a lot more peaceful. And it's the same thing as before. I can be um, more peaceful in my home and more able to give of myself to those people who deserve to have my love in their life. Um, so as you can see, so that's my why. That's my purpose behind this. As you can see, it's like very deep. It's very intense. It's not just, I want to lose weight or I want to feel the muscles in my arm. Like those to me can be a really, really good place to start because they mean something bigger. When you are thinking about, why I want to start using Beachbody On Demand, why I want to start using this community to help me and whatever, you might have started with a weight loss goal. You might have started with a fitness goal or whatever. But think and ask yourself, okay, why does that matter to me? Why does it matter that I feel strong? Why does it matter that I'm active regularly? Who in my life is going to be blessed by me taking care of myself? And really, really identify who you believe you're called to be, who you want to be, but also who are you called to be? We are all called to go to heaven. We are all called and loved by God in our own unique ways. And so, when we show up for ourselves, when we first love ourselves, then we can love our neighbors. Let me look at my notes to make sure I'm on track. And also, if you notice, a lot of what my why is identifying the things that challenge me or have challenged me in my life. So it's figuring out, okay, this happens and I don't like it and I want it to be better and I want to change and I want to this instead. And so that can be really helpful when you're trying to figure out your purpose is what are the things that I face as a unique individual that hinder me from becoming that person I know I'm called to be, or hinder me from becoming that person that I want to be. And they don't necessarily, that doesn't have to be like how you write your why, but it can just help you think like how to define your purpose. And another thing of how I kind of figured out my why at this point in my journey is I have observed how certain things, as you can tell, have helped me. So figuring out that exercise and not eating a lot of sugar. So following like 2B Mindset is my nutrition plan, which does not really, you can have sugar if you want, but it's pretty like FFCs are not very sugary. So have helped me figure out that I feel better when I do those things, right? So sometimes it's just getting started and observing what's feeling good. And then you can kind of say, that's what I want. So let's let that move me forward. So take that momentum. If you have that at the beginning right now, I'm so excited to jump in and get started and observe how good it feels. Because it is going to be a challenge. That's why we call you challengers. That's why we call these groups challenge groups often. But when you recognize where the challenge is blessing you and pushing you toward your goals, then that's a really good thing. And you want to keep that close. So let's see. Let's see. Sorry, I wrote it all out and got tired. So, okay. So when I think about also defining my purpose and my why based on who I want to be and who I feel called to be, it's more like I am putting on the armor of God in the face of temptation. because to me, like in my life and in, you know, the life I've been given, I want to be a soldier for Christ, not a slave to other people's opinions of me, which is really freaking hard. Like that is hard. It is so hard not to care what other people think. And I don't want to be the kind of person who's like, okay, you can say whatever I want about me and I'm just not going to care, because I do care, because I want people to love me, because I'm a person who's worthy of love. And so are you. So it matters to care what people think, but at the same time, like we need to care more about God and the holy people that we know that have come before us. We can see that they focus on their mission for God, right? And in this world, there's a lot of you know, it's easy to seek the approval of others, but it's fickle and everybody has a different opinion. And they don't have all the knowledge in the world. They're not going to fully understand you, but God does. He is all loving and he is all knowing. And his call for you might be really challenging, but it's one that brings peace and freedom. So consider that when you're thinking of your purpose. So just 3 simple steps. You can probably tell I have ADD from the way I talk on my when I lead calls. But the 3 steps that I wanted to give are that, well, one of them I already said. Who you're called to be, who do you want to be? What kind of freedom do you hope to experience is a good question to ask yourself. I'll say that again. What kind of freedom do you hope to experience? And then the second one is, I've already said these, so I guess it's like a recap. That's probably what my purpose was when I was writing this down. What challenges do you hope to overcome? So some of mine, for example, was anxiety, lack of confidence, feeling sick and weak and grouchy. So again, what challenges do you hope to overcome? And step 3 is just to write it down and form some good go-to questions that you can ask yourself in the face of temptation. Donut challenges. Does the toilet deserve my donuts? Yeah, so like, will eating this food bring me closer to my goals? Is this going to am I going to be grouchy and sluggish and tired and mean to my kids if I eat this? Or am I going to, Sarah, you know, or is this going to give me energy, and, you know, move me forward to be that person I want to be?
Megan, can I say something really quick?
Yeah.
I think that's why, like, when I journal my food, when I'm journaling my food, what I'm trying to get back to. So, like, the reason I flushed the donuts down the toilet, it was because I ate one and I was about to eat the rest of them. And for me, I have a really bad intolerance to eggs and vanilla, which I know are in the donuts. So I was feeling sick as I was eating them. So I just flushed them down the toilet, because who's going to eat something in the toilet? But what helped me today, because there was still temptation, and sometimes when you're closer to your goal weight, you can kind of mess your head up a little bit to say, well, I mean, I could work that off. But for me, I was a cranky mess the rest of the day because I felt awful. And today I don't feel well. So I have to write down how my mood was, because then it's like I love what you asked, because it's like, no, I don't want to be a total monster to my kids. Yeah. And I was being really uncharitable at some points in the day because I just didn't feel good. And it was because of what I ate. And so sometimes, like, even if it's like, well, I mean, I didn't really, maybe it doesn't make the scale go up, but it's just how, if it does it align, like, I don't want my daughter to get stressed and go eat a dozen donuts. Like, but even deeper than that, I had to write down, like, remember how you felt. Because today there was like sweet and sour chicken sitting on the countertop, and I'm like, oh, I could just eat one piece. And I'm like, no, like, remember how you felt yesterday? So anyway, I love what you're saying about, like, what challenges you hope to overcome. I think for me right now, it's that whole, like, recognizing how it affects how I feel more than just not eating it. So
Yeah, definitely. I totally relate with that. We just had a Friendsgiving and I ate fairly clean, but there was sugar, like little bits of sugar snuck into a lot of what I had. And I was like, man, Jake, I feel like crazy, dehydrated, like so tired, so sluggish, and just like, and I was drinking water constantly. I mean, like 200 ounces plus a day, like constantly. And my lips are crazy chapped. And I finally realized it was sugar. Like, I'm really sensitive to it. So you might not have the same experience, but you just learn to identify those things. But also, like, if you do have a weight loss goal, or you do have diabetes, or you're taking cholesterol or blood pressure medication, or you are in remission from cancer, or you're at risk for cancer, or you're struggling with infertility, or some things that are really freaking serious, like, own that. Like, let that drive you, because you deserve to be here. And there's people in your life who love you and want you in their life. And so if you're struggling with a really serious illness like that, or a serious cross like that, like, remember that is your burden, and that healthy habits, taking your medications, taking your supplements, and then showing up in your health journey in the way that your coach has, supported and helped you, is really freaking important. Because when you make those small decisions of, oh, is this food going to be good for me? Is this exercise? How is this exercise going to help me? You're making little steps in your, like, a really important health journey. There's people that have drank Shakeology and exercise and gotten off so many different medications. And so you really do have a blessing here. And the proof is there from so many different people's stories. And I know that at times can get really heavy and really a big burden when you do struggle with something so serious. But it's those small little steps that you take every single day and every moment that are going to change your life, and they're going to make a difference. So nobody can write your why for you. Nobody can define your purpose for you. Certainly we can give you ideas, but this is your journey. And that's why it really matters to focus on your life, your season of life, what you want out of your life, what God's calling you to in your life, so that you can figure out, how to take care of yourself, and not just what you think other people think you need to do to take care of yourself. There's enough of that crap out there. Don't listen to it. Just, take account of what's not working in your life and what is working, and chase what's working. So that's really all I have to say. I don't know if anyone else wanted to say any additional things.
I thought that was so good. And I like what you were talking about, just finding out what you're excited about and letting yourself be pulled towards it. The only thing that I would say, and I put this in the chat, I listened to a Maxwell talk about leadership, and he talked about people think that the difference between a normal person and a great leader is this huge divide. Mm-hmm. And I think people think that in health and fitness too. The difference between me and this healthy person is this huge divide. And he says that the only difference between boiling water and really, really hot water is 1 degree. And the difference, his talk was about leadership, but it applies here too. The difference is the small things that you do all the time, mm-hmm. not the big things that you do for a week. There's nothing wrong with doing a cleanse. There's nothing wrong with doing a fast. There's nothing wrong with that. Those serve their purpose. But you get more lifelong value out of writing your gratitude each day, answering these questions that Megan listed to help you narrow in on your why. You get more value out of making small changes, adding Power Greens to your Shakeology, drinking some water. You get more value out of those things over the course of months than you do over these grand gestures that last for a week, and then either it's over or you're so fried you can't keep up with it. And mm-hmm. So it's just, when we all want something to change, we want to change all the things. and make these huge dramatic gestures. And it's just not necessary. The real success, if you listen to our stories, all of us, the real successes are those little things that we started incorporating into our lives, and then added one more little thing, and then one more little thing. And so now I might have 100 little things that I do, but I didn't start them all at once. Because
Right.
you only have to do 1 degree at a time.
Yeah.
It's so good.
That's a really good point. Just to remember too, like if you have fallen off and you're kind of trying to rein it back in, like if you've been with us for a while and you just aren't motivated to finish the year well, this is a great chance to just remember exactly what Sarah said, and to own your why, but to remember like it's baby steps. You don't have to be right back where you were before. Whenever I have a baby, it's so frustrating. Postpartum, I'm like, why can't I do this exercise yet? But I have to remember, like, things happen, and so even if we have to take a pause because life gets busy, or we got distant from our purpose, or maybe we never found out what it was to begin with, and we came back after several months or weeks, we might not feel as strong as we did when we stopped, and that's okay. Just take those small steps, make it something doable, build your belief that you are strong enough to do this. So that's all I have to say in closing prayer. Is that okay? Okay. Lord God, I just praise and thank you so much for the opportunity to be a leader in this community, for the ways that you have worked in my life and in my story so that I can share it with other people. I'm so humbled and grateful for that opportunity. And I'm so blessed to have found these people to be a part of my life, whether they are leading me or I have the blessing to walk with them and guide them. Lord, just help us to have your knowledge and your wisdom, as well as your prudence when we are trying to figure out what health means to us, and what our call is from you. Speak into the desires of our heart so that we know and want to be the person that you have called us to be. And Lord, just help us to have a blessed week. Give us joy this week. Bring peace into our lives. And we ask all this in your most holy name. Amen. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.